Hi, this is Christopher Lewis, and welcome to Dating Intelligence, the podcast where we give relationship advice from dating to marriage and everything else in between. And always with the goal of helping you to continuously be the best you at all times.
So if you're looking for real, honest information to help you navigate your relationships, we've got you covered.
Got you covered. I'm about to throw Jamie up against the wall right about now, people. In the most lovely way. In the most lovely way.
I almost stabbed him.
Hey guys, what's up? This is we're at Sticky Paw Studios. Just want to give a shout out and hello. You got me thrown off a little bit, but I'll stick with it anyways.
It's all good. We got a new producer back there.
We do.
We're really excited about.
Amber, you want to say hi?
Hello.
I like her tone already. She's an awesome chick back there. All right, so let's just jump into this. I don't even know about you today. I've seen enough of you today. So
all right, you've had it.
I'm so
You're over me.
Plus, we got.
Well, I want to know what you did this weekend.
You know what? It's okay.
Really quick.
So this is what I want to start with, and maybe we'll just start with this one. But I feel like we should bring our. What?
I don't know. What do you mean? Our guest is on the different end of the table, so this is a little
I'm a
different
little off.
for us.
Now I have to look towards you more. Thanks a lot, guest. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. We're blaming on the guest today.
Yeah.
So no, everything's great. I'm just running around, just doing my thing. I went to I met this lovely girl that's over here today. I gotta say, this hottie girl over here next to us today.
She is
and
fucking hot.
She's amazing. And so we talked. I went to some event that I actually walked in and out of, thanks to you. I learned the role. Thank you.
30 in.
I took your advice. I was in 30 minutes and out 30 minutes. And people tried to stop me. And I just kept walking.
Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Lots of business. Yeah. Plus, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't great. It was okay. It was a good time. It was a good time.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you want to plug this event?
Yes,
No.
I want to plug. I do want to plug the EC Twins, though. I want to plug the EC Twins. They've been running some great events in LA, and on just this whole summer, they've been like this whole Tulum vibe on every event they've run. There's these guys, they've been around for about 20 years in the scene, and they're just they've been like basically just producing these events, and they're just getting great turnouts. And I went to the first one because all summer long I haven't had time to go, so I apologize for that, guys. So they invited me to everything, and they just put on a good event. So it was super packed. Tulum's amazing.
I know.
You got to go to Tulum.
I got to make it there.
Yeah.
But there's so many other places I need to go first.
But this is a spot I feel like you'd have an amazing photo shoot. Anybody, I'm surprised they haven't even like flown you or gotten you there yet, because it's just the vibe of the whole town, I should say, is right up your alley, I feel like.
That's what I hear.
It's with your vibe. Totally.
Thanks.
Yeah. Totally you. So.
Tulum, here we come.
Tulum. All right. And by the way, thank you, EC Twins, for that. So, all right, guys, we're going to jump into this one. So our guest today is co-owner of the all-natural tanning and body oil Sunslut. This gorgeous influencer hails from Canada, but decided to move to warmer climates where her body and spirit thrive in order to get the most out of life. With the mantra, look good, feel good, do good, she definitely symbolizes all three. Please welcome Nicusia to the show. Hello, sweetheart.
It's so nice to be on. I'm so grateful and so excited to chat with you guys today.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you.
I have to say, I'm happy that you actually get to meet Jamie today, because I already had a little preview of you for a long time on Sunday. So I'm just happy to be with you again. So I had the best time with you, by the way.
Me too. It was a blast. Yeah. It was, we hit it off right off the bat. So,
yes.
Yeah.
She holds a great conversation. She's funny as shit, and she's just gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, she's so beautiful, like especially in person, but more so like inside.
Thank you.
So I was like,
totally.
Wow. Okay.
I had
I'm excited.
I had one of my I guess a listener had reached out to me, and he goes, and when I sent the photo of us on Instagram, and he's like, and he DM'd me on the side, and he goes, how do you even deal with stuff like this all the time? And I go, I'm so desensitized to it. I'm like, I'm around gorgeous women all the time. I'm desensitized to it. I go,
are you really though?
I mean, I appreciate beauty. I always appreciate, I look at you every day. I appreciate beauty all day long, but I also know it's just what it is. It's just another form of just what I'm around. And I'm just used to being around that, where someone might be like, you probably all know, some guy might just be looking at you and be like, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, yeah, he can hold up a conversation.
Yeah,
it's nice.
For sure. Yeah.
So I appreciate beauty and I love beauty, but at the same time, it's like there's so much more to this woman than all that.
Yeah,
And I
love that.
Just really had a good time being around you. And I was literally like telling you, remember in your boyfriend, Zach, I was like, you guys are good people. Like, you're my people. I could hang around them anytime, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah.
Where does your name originate from?
So I am full-bred Polish. Yes.
That's why I love her.
Yes. So both my parents are from Poland, and they met in Canada. But that being said, we have such a huge community of Polish people in Toronto that my first language was Polish, and I like learned English at the age of 4. So
Wow.
I'm like Polish.
So you can speak Polish too?
Fluently.
Will you say
yes.
something to me?
Cześć, jak się masz?
Whatever it was, I'm in. I like it.
I'm going to translate. She's all like checking you out. That's what I think she said. I don't know. I just heard
I don't know.
All the above.
checkmate, checks you out.
Do you talk dirty to your guy in Polish?
No, I don't even know how to do that. It's awkward. It's awkward.
Like, would it sound hot in bed?
Well, he likes it, like, because he loves James Bond and he loves movies, right? So it's funny because I don't really watch movies and I cannot recall anything. I don't really even know actors' names or anything. It's like I'm really not being ignorant. I just never watch it, right?
Yeah.
Him, on the other hand, has watched every movie, can recite literally the entire script, and then he's obsessed with James Bond. So when we met, he's like, "Oh wow, I've been preparing this my whole life. Basically, like I'm the villain." He's like, "I'm the Russian villain," even though I'm not Russian, but you know how it goes. Yeah. So sometimes I'll be talking in Polish, and he just sort of like sits there. He's like, ah.
It's funny with him, with the whole with all three of you. Like I said, I didn't meet your other partner, but when we went to this meeting, we were talking about sponsorship and branding and things like that. And so I met Zach, and I literally told her, I said, "Oh my God," I go, "Nikki," I go, when you go to their page, About Me page, it's like you see one of the co-owners, then you see her, then you see the other co-owner, and you're just like, okay, are you kidding me right now? All these three people are fucking hot. What the hell is going on? It's a trifecta of hotness.
I want to fucking work
That's
with.
what I'm saying. It's a trifecta of hotness. It's rare. So I literally go, and so when we started talking to Zach, I was like, dude, I go, you were so fucking good looking too. I go, you guys match up so well.
Thank you so
So
much.
well. Yeah, they're a good
definitely
couple.
my type.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been dating?
So we actually met on December 25th, so Christmas of 2020. Yeah, so it's almost 2 years, I guess. Time's flying by. I barely know what day it is. So.
Right.
Yeah. And then how did you meet on Christmas Day? No one's ever out on Christmas.
So that's actually the funny thing. So being Polish, we have our traditions, and one of the most important one for us, at least in my family, is to do Christmas Eve together. So I've been living alone, basically in California, for the last 7 years, and I've made an intention to basically go home every Christmas, and there was nothing that was stopping me ever. I would always make it happen. This time it was COVID though, right?
Right.
So
so
nobody
you
was
couldn't make it
flying,
home.
and so I couldn't make it home. I think the flights were shut down or something along those lines. So I was sort of like sitting at home, a little bit depressed, trying not to feel guilty and have all those feelings come up. And we had a mutual friend. I didn't know Zach before at all. Never heard of him or seen him. So we had just like a mutual friend. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna do like a little COVID Christmas dinner for everybody that can't go back to see their family. Do you want to come over?" I was like, honestly, yeah, like I'm gonna go, just hang out, have food, why not? And he apparently got invited as well. He chose not to go, and he stayed home with his cousin, I think. And they were watching movies, eating food. While I was there, I posted a story. It got reposted by a mutual friend, and him being sort of like the man whore that he was once.
That he used to be.
Yeah. That I've converted, hopefully. Basically, he saw my tag, and he was like, "What the heck? Like, I didn't know that this girl was going to be there." And apparently, 2 months before that, some guy met me. I meet a lot of people, so he apparently met me, took my Instagram photo, cropped my name out, sent it to him, basically bragging that he met me in San Diego. And so my boyfriend was like, "How'd you meet this chick? Like, there's, I didn't come across her. I'm out all the time."
Yeah.
And so he didn't know who I was. So 2 months later, essentially, was Christmas. And then he's like, "Oh my God, there she is." I'm like, "What the fuck?" So he basically rallied, and he's like, "Yeah, I was watching Zorro, Mask of Zorro." And he like turned the TV off and made his cousin basically rally. And I remember I was sitting on the couch with our mutual friend, and he FaceTimes him, and I was like, "Oh shit, like this guy's sort of hot."
Right.
Like, he's like my type. And I just hear him and he's like, "Hey," our friend's name is Joe. He's like, "Hey Joe, like what are you guys doing after this? Like you're going to this after party, right? Like you're going to this after party and you're bringing everyone that's with you." And I'm just like watching from the side. I'm like, "Oh man, I never go to those things," or I always say that I will and I just don't. Plus my puppy was with me too. So it was like, I should be going home right now.
And quite frankly, it's Christmas, for God's sake. What the
Right.
fuck?
Yeah, I know. And so, I was in the car with one of my best friends, and she's like, Nikki, like, you have to go. You always say you're going to go, and it's rude if you keep telling people you're going to pull up and then you just don't. And I was like, okay, fine. So we walk into this, like, house party, and I see him, and I'm very much like, let's cut to the chase, okay? So if I think you're hot and you clearly know that I'm hot because I'm not stupid, our friends will probably tell you, they're going to tell me all this stuff. So let's just talk. Like, why wasting my time, basically? So I walk in, I see him. He like quickly turns around and starts mingling with other people. And I'm like, okay, I guess you're not interested.
Right. He's playing the game. He's playing the game.
So I'm just standing there, like looking at him, like side-eyeing him. I was like, okay, whatever, wasting my time. And so I'm like walking towards like the balcony where my friend was, and I had to walk through the entire apartment. And so basically I walk in, I was like, yeah, babe, I'm gonna leave. And as I was like saying that, he like comes in and he's like, hey, like really aggressively, like super aggressive, because he's
Did you like it though?
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, no, our conversation was very astrology. Let's talk astrology real quick.
Yes.
He's an Aries with a Gemini moon. So for those who know, you're probably like, holy shit, it's a lot. And then I'm Sagittarius, like Scorpio kind of thing. So it's very intense. So yeah, so he was aggressive and I was like, okay, let's play. Basically. Yeah, so it got really aggressive really quickly, but I was into it, he was into it, and then basically we were inseparable literally from that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I usually like don't date. I don't date around. Like I would be a homebody. I'd be just travel. I'd have hosts in different area codes, never in my area.
Yeah. Right.
So
I said that you had Jamie has her stable is what she called it as well.
yeah, I love it. And and so at the time I was like, yeah, I should probably switch them up. So New Year, new me. So and then he came around and that's basically
History,
that story.
2 years. Wow,
Yeah,
2 years later.
yeah.
It's funny when I met him, she goes, she goes, listen to his version of the story because my story is that he came in really aggressive, and his story is like all like calm and like, we talked and this and that. And I was like,
tries to be all
you're right.
polite.
Everybody's got their own versions
Okay,
of
so
stories.
when you typically meet someone, but you're initially like super attracted to them, and then after you start talking for a few months, like for me, like I lose interest. How did he keep you? Like, how did he keep the interest?
Okay. So
Because I'm like,
Yeah.
shut up.
Especially around Christmas time. Sorry. It's like a theme around here. It's like I could use that every single episode.
I always break up with my guys around Christmas. Most girls want to keep their guy because they want the gifts. I get
I'm
rid
like,
of
no,
them.
freedom. This is where the best trips take place. So bye. No, I was the same for the longest time. But basically, trying to think back, because I feel like we've lived a lot of lifetimes together within that short period of time. We've done a lot of growth individually and then together. And I think what really keeps me intrigued is I've been doing a lot of like self-healing, right? And I almost like I thrive on, we sort of had a little bit of this conversation previously where basically you almost end up getting off on the universe giving you like a situation and then you having and choosing to choose the more aligned option, even though it's not always like, excuse me, not always like the easiest thing to do. And so with him, there's definitely like, we both had lots of healing to do, but we kept choosing each other when like our shadows would come up or these obstacles would come up, right? And to me, it definitely like built rapport. Plus, he's hot. So, like, if we're going to be honest, so that has to, like, I have to be attracted to someone. And, it may sound superficial to some, but, like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like, it is what it is, right? Like, I have to look at you. Yes, you're hot. You're my type. I will stay intrigued while we work through our bullshit. And then while, when things are rough. But then when things are good, it's, like, that much better.
Right.
And then you sort of build that connection. And just knowing that person chooses you when we both have options is, like, special to me.
See, and I love that you said that.
Yeah.
When the person chooses
you.
That's
yeah.
a great one.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's intentional. Like, that's what it is. It's just about being intentional. And then, we both have had a crazy past in different and similar ways. And so meeting somebody that is ready to sort of like, we like met each other completely. We both thought we were just going to be like a fling, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to have a new home in my city. So this is going to be great.
Right.
But then we're like, he's like, you're not leaving. I was like, watch me. I tried. And he's like, no. No, kept chasing me. So it was, it was.
The pursuit.
So he
Yeah.
did the work. That's the
No,
thing.
he's
in it, too.
definitely
He's
done the work,
done
and
the
he
work.
continues to do the work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
So that's for sure.
Right.
So-
and now on top of that, now you guys are business partners as well. Do you want to talk about your business, Sunslut? Let's get into that a little bit. How's that
So
going?
It's awesome. So we've basically the way that it sort of all happened. We have it's me, him, and our really good friend. And basically, once we started dating, and once we realized that we're not breaking up and we're actually going to stay together, he's like, "Hey, my best friend essentially has this idea. Would you want to come over so we could talk about it?" So I came over, and he's like this like Greek god looking, like effortlessly like gorgeous person too, inside and out. And basically, he loves tanning, so he's just like dark, but like perfect. So you like look at him, you're like, how do you do this? And you have like perfectly white teeth. Like, how? Teach me your ways.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he's basically like, yeah, well, Zach and I met in Hawaii when we lived there, and I'd just be a sunslut laying in the sun all the time. And I just, he finds like peace in that, and that's what he likes to do. He's always lived by the ocean, and that's basically that. He's like, yeah, so I've always wanted to create sort of like a tanning product just because why not? Right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, why am I here? And so basically I was like, well, the name Sunslut, if that's what we're going to call the company, I think that's like a really cool name, and we could just like run with it. Really, it's catchy. It triggers people. Right. And it's, and it definitely triggers people. And so I like to trigger people because I've always like tried to like break down people's perceptions and sort of, I'm all about shifting perspective in life in general.
Yes.
So by nature, we are all conditioned and wired to have a default like negative perception because it's like a fight or flight kind of protective mechanism, primarily. Mm-hmm. So what I've learned in like my own life is basically I have to force myself into neutrality sometimes, right? And then open myself up to different perspectives. And then it like literally shows me like the most incredible things, opens me up to opportunities, and it's just a more positive way to live. Right? So with Sunslut, it's very much like, you'll hear that name. People are like, what?
What the fuck?
It's all good. And so, people will get triggered by the name. They'll look into it. And then the messaging of the brand is literally to break down stereotypes. It sounds superficial, but it's not. Like, look good, feel good. And then we're going to revise the actual like branding message to do good, because we believe that, if a tan can make you feel a little bit better.
Yes, I always feel better when I'm tan.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's something superficial, who cares? Whatever. Let's not lie to each other about it. If I look in the mirror, if I like what I see, I'm going to have a better day. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to, be a nicer person. I'll hold the door open for somebody if I'm in a good mood, you know?
Right.
And so if I or we can produce a product that's actually not detrimental to your health, because obviously I'm very big into like, clean beauty. I was very much into like integrative nutrition and fitness before all this too. So that's ingrained in my mind as well. I wanted to create a product that will, not hurt you, benefit you like on a physical level, and then translate into an emotional level too, right? And then when you're feeling good about yourself and you're having a good day, you're automatically tapped into sort of like a higher vibrational state. Mm-hmm. You're a better person, like I said, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's, sprinkling a little bit of light and love into your own life or somebody else by holding the door open to them, looking at them, having a little bit of eye contact, being like, how are you? How's your day going? That means so much.
Yeah, the little things go a long way like that, by the way.
And when you're in a flow state like that as well, consecutively too, you are opening yourself up to this creative energy and to this like love and abundance, And so whether it's literally, like I said, that tiny little thing, or we inspire you to somehow feel so good that you're going to come up with like this, world-renowned idea in the future. Like, you never know. Or like a creative project that you've been wanting to pursue. And it's just because that day you were feeling that good about yourself that it just came to you. Or you got the confidence to pursue it. Like, that's sort of the way that I see the brand. It's like, we did our job.
That's great. Yeah.
So it's much deeper than that. And
it's got a great mission and tagline too, by the way.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Yeah. I like that. And
I
how
love
you guys,
the whole branding behind it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because it kind of flows into like our topic.
Yes, it does.
Which is don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
So I think people see that and then they automatically have a negative connotation because of the wording, but the way you explained it, phenomenal.
Yeah,
Thank you
right
so
on
And it's
much.
point.
brilliant marketing.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
a
Thank
people
you.
person. You
Yeah.
definitely are a people person for sure.
I love
It's
it.
it's just a matter of somebody to like really sit down for a second and like look into something. That's all. It's to like take a pause and open yourself up, and then life could be so different than what you anticipated it to be.
And the best time too is when somebody or a group of people, if they say something or you inspire them, or just like you said, a simple hello. Sometimes we're in our head all day long or something as well, and it just takes you out of that space, and and you're like, oh my God, it just opens you up just to kind of breathe and just relax and just be like, like you said, put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
And I love that.
That's what it
So
is.
you had a good story the other day when I met you. Remember that when we met in the at the valet, and then we were walking in, and tell the story with the people that.
Yeah, no,
so
it was
funny.
it was definitely special. My boyfriend actually dropped me off at our meeting, right? And as we're driving in the car, I currently live in Costa Rica, so I'm a little bit, a jungle woman currently, and
Which I love.
yeah, but like it's like I'm in the middle sort of a transition, right? So half of my clothes are in storage, half of my like stuff that I own that I usually like, I don't have like my regular eyelash person. I've worn eyelashes for 11 years straight. So like seeing myself naked, I'm like, oh my God. Like who is this person? So it definitely like takes a toll. It definitely took a toll on how I felt about myself. So as we're driving, I'm like, babe, I feel like shit. Like I look so bad. And with traveling, my skin's so dry. My makeup looks so bad. And he's like, oh my God, just like stop. So I'm like, okay. I'm like hyping myself up, drink my energy drink. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. We're going to have a wonderful conversation. And so I like hop out of the car. Christopher is like, Nikki? I was like, hi. Super high energy, amazing. So it was a great start. And as we're walking towards like the entrance, there's like this group of people that, excuse me, that like went out of their way because I sort of like blew past them because I was in my head still a little bit.
Right, we were about to walk in the door.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, and we actually had to take a couple steps back and because they were very adamant about getting my attention.
And they were about 20 to 30 feet away, about 20 feet away.
Like they made a conscious effort, took the time out of their day and chose not to even talk between themselves, but like be like, hey, just so you know, you look so gorgeous. Your outfit is on point. Your hair, everything about it, it's just flowing. And it's funny because, like I said, I felt like shit and I'm a little bloated. I put on some weight. So I'm definitely like in my feels. So it was very special. And it definitely, it's like, oh.
It was pretty
Isn't
amazing.
it funny when that happens? Like we feel like freaking crap and then we get like a compliment and you're like, wow, really? Out of like all the days.
No, seriously. And I literally told him, I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Genuinely, thank you so much because I needed that.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was very validating. And some days we need that and we shouldn't feel bad about that either.
Yeah.
So
I'll take it all day long, especially when I'm
it.
like in that, like you said, when you're in that phase like that, because it gets you out of it.
And it feels like sometimes it feels like, God, it's only me. Or so.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was very special. It was really sweet. So
Yeah, it was great. It was really good.
Tell us a little bit about your adventure. You were on a sailboat.
Oh man.
I remember seeing your stories and I'm like, I want to come. She's like, no, you don't. No. Just
do not.
stay where you're at.
Okay. So, okay. So where do I start? So basically, my boyfriend and I, we have a very interesting life currently. So we sold off all of our stuff, decided not to renew our lease in San Diego, California, and we're like, okay, we got essentially gifted a boat by his dad. So it's been like a family boat that he just doesn't have the time to essentially attend to and just spend time on. So it was located in Trinidad. So
She's like, there lies the start.
So, and I feel really bad because my boyfriend, he's like, he puts me above all else, and I'll give him that for sure. And he's like, hey, like, this is going to be so exciting. We're going to go island hopping. We were mapping out this whole adventure for like a couple months before that, like took the time to like, fix the boat, whatever needed to, get updated or whatnot. So it was like adventure ready. We get there and, without throwing people under the bus, but they basically lied about everything. And so we get there and we had to reinvest this more money than we anticipated. We had to spend a lot more time there. The plan was to essentially be there for the first 3 days and then go on our island adventure. And we got there, we were there for, I think, 10 days and then also it was super cloudy. So we had to wait for a nice day. So even if the repairs were finished or all that kind of stuff, we still had to wait for, a sunny day to go.
Yeah.
And we're also bordering literally as you like sail out of Trinidad where we were, when you look to the left, there's Venezuela. And so there's a genuine concern and it's a genuine situation that you have to like plan your trip so that you run away and escape the pirates. And the pirate,
yeah.
So like my life was literally like planning on how to escape potential pirates. So, there's lots of stressors. And then we hired a captain and we leave. And it was supposed to be a great day. We were like mapping it out, everything. And we leave. We're about an hour and a half offshore, maybe 2. All of a sudden, all these clouds come and just hover above us. Turns into a huge like rainstorm, thunderstorm. We're in like the ocean where like it's the first time I've experienced like there's like waves and then there's swells.
I would have died.
Like, so the boat is literally like on a 35 to 45 degree angle. I'm like trying not to fall overboard and it's like going like crazy. All of a sudden, I don't know if you guys know what a boom is on a sailboat. Mm-hmm. So basically like the mast is like held up on with the horizontal thing that's attached to the vertical pole, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the people that were taking care of the boat didn't do a good rundown. And apparently, there was a little crack. So with being next to salt water, there was corrosion, which was from internal. So you actually couldn't really see it and it snapped.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So the boat, like it's the sound of it, the actual visual of it, as we're like getting drenched. I'm wearing a raincoat that was clearly never like tested in the rain, like like soaked and freaking out. And yeah, we had to turn back. So we went back to Trinidad. Had to wait another week. There were no flights out because I was like, honestly, peace out, guys. You're all machos. Great. You guys, I'll meet you in Grenada. That was like our next stop, right? I was like, or the next island. I don't care. I'll go to a resort. I'm not even going to pretend. I'm an adventurer.
She's like, I'm out.
I'm out. I tried. I'm out. So anyways, there's no flights out. So I had to basically, for the week, I was like, yeah, I could do this. It's going to be a nice day. It'll be fine. We go. We actually make it there, but it was a 13-hour sail where the boat was on an angle and then constant movement. I've never actually been like seasick before, but I got really seasick. So, and the only way that I wasn't like throwing up all over the place, great visuals there. Yeah. Was on my stomach. I had to lay on like in the cabin, like on my stomach for the entire time. So yeah. And I had to like I kept taking like Dramamine and all these anti-nausea things that weren't helping, but they were putting me to sleep. So I would like wake up and then I'd force myself back to bed. So I was like literally awake for 13 hours. I was
you had to sleep just to process and get through.
Yeah. And so, I had to obviously go to the bathroom a couple of times during the 13 hours. So when I was hungry, so I'm like hungry and nauseous, what the heck? Like, I don't know what to do with myself. Then I need to go pee. And twice this happened. I like walk down the stairs, go downstairs to go to the bathroom, and a wave decides to hit like really, really hard. So one time I like headbutted the door. The other time I was on my way finally back up. I like made it, and then another wave like hits, and I just get thrown across the entire like inside. Yeah, it was an adventure.
So in your mind, at this
Did you
point in
think you were
time,
gonna
I
die?
brought coloring books. Listen, I brought coloring books.
Okay.
I thought I'd be able to color
Right.
on my way there. I brought yoga mats. I have all my workout equipment. I was like, this is gonna be great. Beautiful water.
She's like, this is a below deck situation.
No,
like that
and
one
you know
show.
what's funny?
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Below Deck.
Yeah.
Right before that, like I like binge watched everything. So I was like, yeah, this is gonna be fine. This is gonna be great.
Oh man.
I'm gonna live on the boat.
Yeah.
Like, remember when we'd play MASH as a kid? Like, I didn't want the mansion. I wanted the ship.
Yes.
No, thank you. I will pass on that from now on. I listen to the story.
had my first bout of motion sickness when I was in Key West just recently.
Was the water really choppy? Is that why?
We had like 10-foot waves.
Oh,
yes.
wow. Okay.
And I was like, the captain kind of laughed and he was like, you guys don't want to fish today. It's going to be like rough. And I'm like, I never get seasick. Trust me, I'm fine. And he was like, I mean, I'll take you out if you want. He was, and then like half our crew was like, we're not going, we're staying here. And I'm like,
wow. That should have been a sign.
You know me, I'm like, I'm in, let's go. I'm going to rally. Like, I can do it. And then.
Did you have your coloring book?
I did not have my coloring book,
just wanna
but
make sure.
I did exactly what you did. I picked a corner and I literally said a mantra over and over in my mind. And I took a Dramamine, which I'd never taken before. And I feel like someone gave me a fucking horse tranquilizer because this was me. Yeah. But I was just trying to like focus and not throw up. So I didn't throw up. Everyone else fucking threw up.
Wow.
Yeah, no, sometimes I ended up sort of giving in, and like I was like, honestly, I just, because the sun was going down, so I wanted to experience like a sunset and then like look at the stars, like where it's pitch black. Everywhere, because I wanted to experience that, right? So, man, I threw up just to make myself feel better. It was like, okay for a second. And then I had to go back to like laying on my stomach. And all I did, I like grabbed my hand, I like put my hand up and just recorded. And I was like, babe, am I getting a good angle?
That's funny.
So that was my experience. And then from there, we had to fly back because this actually took up almost a month, right? And so we have a lot of other things. Like Sunslut was actually launching the following week. So we had to come back, tie up some loose ends. So we hired another like first mate for our captain to basically take the boat from the Caribbean Sea to the Pacific Ocean through the Panama Canal. So they actually just got there last week. But, yeah.
That's a crazy life, doing that stuff.
Would you do it again? That's a no. She's like, fuck no.
I'm like, babe, if you're watching this, I had a great time.
That's so funny. Oh my God. I could not do it.
One and done.
Yeah. But for you, when you went to the Keys, though, how far out did you decide? When did that hit you? How far out before you started feeling that way?
Well, when we're fishing, it's deep sea fishing. So it's a good 45-minute to an hour ride just to get out there to like fish. So.
Right.
And then we were probably out there for an hour, and I wasn't going to call it because I'm fucking stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he was like, the captain had to be like, all right,
Bring it back in.
Going back in. Yeah.
So, and that's suffering again in itself. You know you're turning around. You're just like, oh.
And I was like, we cannot go in without a fish. We at least need one. We got two, and then I didn't talk for the rest of the way back. I was literally head down, and I had to freaking focus, or I was gonna lose my shit and throw up all over. But I was so sick.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling.
No.
And the thing is too with nausea, right? Like imagine one thing to be like 2 hours off the coast of wherever, but
your days.
No, like literally, we were lucky because it actually just so happened that like we were traveling at like 9 knots on average, where we were anticipating 7.
Okay.
So it went from like half a day to like, more than half a day to about like 12, 13 hours, like I said.
Okay.
But even so, let's say you're 6 hours out, right? You look around, there's like, what are you gonna do? Like, it's like you're borderline having a panic attack. You're like, fuck this. Like, I just want to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Where are
done.
you gonna go?
But you can't go anywhere. And there's literally, you do not see anything. You don't see anyone. Like, it's just, you're on your own.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I feel like that's like a practice situation. Like, you got to build your way up in order to go that long distance like that.
Yeah.
Even though we know right out in the middle of the ocean, it's just going to be rough. I mean, it could be smooth, but it's still pretty rough. Let's just be honest,
Well,
so.
no, it's definitely rough. It's I will say, like, it's the first time encountering like those swells when you like leave that sort of like, you're like close to the shore, so it's sort of like calmed down, especially if you're in a gulf or something, like it's like relatively smooth.
Yeah.
But like when you're out there, like, yeah,
that's a whole new
And you
territory.
have you have no control.
That's the thing too.
So it's like, fuck, where do you go?
Well, listen. First of all, you listen to your captain.
yeah.
I know. I know.
So,
but-
was it worth it for those 2 fish?
No, it was not. No. I was like, I'll go to the market and buy my own fucking fish.
Right.
Yeah, seriously.
Go to the store and get some salmon, people. That's all I got to say. As
Just-
long as they don't poke it,
no
you're all good to go.
thumbs and
No thumbs in the salmon.
encrusted
So, all right, guys. So we're going to get into our episode topic called "Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover," which we touched upon a little before. It's when stereotypes and the way people perceive you are entirely wrong, whether it be dealing with what you do for a living, looks, ethnicity, background, and clothing. And I know, like for all of us, I'm sure we've had a few bouts or everyday bouts.
Yeah.
There's a bout every day. Let's just put it that way. I know for myself, speaking personally, that I've gone through enough wow, you didn't really, you don't act like who you should be, or I've never thought you were this person. And being a black male and with the way that I am and things like that, they always, first of all, I get, well, how do you know, you don't sound black. And it's like, well, what the hell does that mean? How do you talk black? You know? And so, or if it's just like, wow, you're much nicer in person. You mean nicer than my photos that you saw? Like, I mean, how am I going to be nicer than a photo that you saw? So I know these are things that I'm talking about. So it's the way that people perceive them. We all have that perception, you know, stereotypes. Everybody's got some stereotype. We all make fun of certain things, but it's real, you know, and I'm sure we've all felt it. But one thing that I love doing, you've touched upon this, Nikki, is the fact that one of the best things I love to do is to change someone's mind on how they view things. You know, like when you meet someone, and we've all have friends.
Do you really want to change their mind or give them a different perspective? Sorry,
changing their perspective on how they view things is what I meant to say. Thank you for saying that. So one of the things that I love to do is when we all have friends go, oh my God, I can't wait for you to meet such and such. They're either this or that, or, you know, this guy's this or that. And I go, let me just make my own personal opinion. I don't need you to fill in the blanks for me, because then we go in with a preconceived notion and you meet that person already kind of sizing them up to see if they're going to actually be that way.
Yeah.
You know, in reality, you're like, oh, they're nothing like that. And our friends just skewed anyway. So I don't know how they got that way, but it happens. So I like walking into any situation just blind. That's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
You can drop me off in a city in a parachute and just leave me alone and I will work my way through the situation. That's one of my favorite things to do. So yeah.
What about you?
I mean, I feel as though in my life, every experience that I've had is sort of like a puzzle piece that doesn't make sense in the moment sometimes, but then it'll all come together and I'm like, oh shit, well, that was a nice lesson. And it like is adding to who I'm becoming. So when I was younger, and as I, you know, grew up and stuff, I look the way I look, you know, and people will always be like, oh, this blonde bimbo, you know,
right,
big boobs, like big lips, like she must have nothing to say, basically, or she's a bitch,
right?
Or yeah, basically that's that. And so it definitely, I will say, it definitely took a toll on me for a long time. And even though I'm a very like stubborn, and when I was younger, you know, people would like have all these like project all these things on me, and then after a while I ended up sort of like giving in. I was like, well, if you're gonna fucking talk shit about me, if you're gonna have all these things and start spreading rumors about who I am, like back in like elementary and high school, I'm like, fuck it, I'll live up to your thing, fine. I will make you happy. And I just sort of like, I definitely leaned into
play it out.
Yeah. I'm like, fine. You really want to see this? Okay.
Game on.
Let's turn it up, people. Turn it up.
Yeah, seriously. So that was definitely my approach when I was younger. And then my ass got sort of handed to me, for sure. And I got humbled in a past relationship, for sure. And it like sort of definitely crushed me a little bit. And from there, I had to build myself back up. And, you know, during that time too, I was in like pre-med. I was basically, my whole plan was to go into medical school, go into cosmetic surgery. That was like my whole thing, right? Because I love creativity and I love science. I'm a huge nerd. And so, yeah, I was actually, we were talking about this. I was right out of high school. The one class that I just couldn't understand because it was too logical was physics. And I was in this private school and I had like, it was just me. It was like a table like this and there was like 6 other guys. And, you know, they were like all killing it. I was the only one that couldn't do it. And just because I felt so like hell bent on like proving my worth kind of thing, I was like, well, I'm going to go and apply to a university degree that I know I'll get into that none of you guys can. So basically I went to biomedical engineering. So that was like I was like, whatever. And so I got in, and as like, you know, we'd have all these labs during the week and stuff, and I would party on the weekends in Miami. Like I'd go party, then fly back and just like basically do that. And people were like studying all weekend. They like hated me, right? They're like, how are you doing this? I was like, I don't know. And then I would walk through with my lab coat, my hair pulled back, on my little goggles and stuff. And I would be like the only like blonde chick really that was there. I've had people literally be like, are you lost, miss? No.
They're like, are you the tester?
Yeah, literally.
Are you the tester?
They're like, the fashion. Somebody was like, oh, the fashion and something is over there. I was like, dude, I'm wearing a lab coat. Like, what is it? Like, what? I was like, doesn't make any sense. But anywho, so basically, that's sort of like, you know, even though I was very, I knew my worth, right? And I knew that I was always really smart. And all these things over time, it definitely, especially after that relationship, all these feelings like of potential like insecurity, and people basically projecting this whole thing how you're worth nothing, like you're basically just a pretty face if you try, you know. It definitely got to me for a while, and then I sort of that was where I had to build myself back up from. And then once I realized, I had a couple, you know, instances where as I was building myself back up and like crawling out of my like hole of depression and identity crisis and everything, you know, I'd just be myself for a second, and somebody just like that whole experience walking into that, you know, entire meeting, right? Somebody would like say something. The universe was literally like, here's a validation. Some random person would be like, hey, I love this about you, or something like that, or like that was so smart what you said. And it was like these things that I needed to hear as like crutches, almost to like crawl out of that like hole. And I feel like I did. And now I'm stepping into my own. And I also realized too that, you know, realistically, fuck what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of people a lot of years to get there.
Yeah. And it did. It really did. And it took a lot of turbulence, and it took a lot of like, you know, like I said, getting crushed to your absolute, like it got to the point I was so depressed that I didn't even know this. Like it didn't occur to me until somebody brought it up to me. My eyes were always pointed downwards. So I couldn't even maintain eye contact with somebody. So that's earlier when we were talking about Sunset, about making a joke about holding a door open. Somebody actually held a door open to me, and they're like, hey, how's your day going? I fucking burst into tears.
Oh.
Like it was just like somebody giving me that attention or time of day, and just like, you know, human connection, literally.
And
changed.
genuine
Yeah.
with that.
And like, and it was like, you know, that literally was so like amazing to me, and like it changed my perspective on stuff that like, that's why I make that joke. I was like, if I could like hold the door open for somebody and it might make their day, like it happened to me.
Right.
You know, so yeah, so.
Well, I appreciate that now, just like I said, from the brief time that we spent on Sunday and everything, I appreciate the fact that she did, she stepped back and she engaged. You could tell her energy was engaging when they were saying that from afar, but she was engaged and she was very grateful and thankful, and you could tell it did light you up, and it made you more engaged, because I could feel your energy. Like you were like, I'm just tired and da-da-da. And we were like, we just need to get a drink and da-da-da. But then after that moment, your whole spirit just like, you were energized after that.
And the way that I perceive that too, like it's not that it's not just like somebody's like, oh, you look pretty.
You're
like,
right.
It's not that.
Right.
I truly believe in like, you know, whatever energy that you're feeling, right? If you are tapping into the energy of abundance, which is what I really try to put myself into and love, and just, I like to listen to signs. So, you know, angel numbers, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Like I love all of that. Right. So I was walking in, and like I said, these people did not have to do that, like at all, you know, they chose to do that. So thank you. But the way I see that is the universe is being like, hey, you're fine. You're okay.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. They're our little messengers.
Yeah. We also talking about grounding exercises in the car as I was like pulling up, and I was like, who's that? Who's that? Like I was literally trying to find I was super exhausted. We were just like travel day, all this kind of stuff. Right. So I literally was trying to ground myself. And by them saying those things to me, I was like, oh, the universe has my back.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. So that's essentially like baseline how I perceive all these things. And that's what pulled me out of my, you know, hole. And I realized that, hey, you know, sure, you can feel bad about, you know, all these people's like misconceptions about you, or you can use it to your benefit. And it's actually your biggest fucking gift.
Yeah.
Because one, stop thinking about what anybody else thinks of you, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Right.
You're either never going to see that person ever again, or like realistically, like how are you going to affect my life? You're not. Like, let's be real.
Right.
Right. Actually believing that is a whole other thing. Right. Like for yourself. So once you step into that, you're also like, well, now that I don't give a shit, and now that I actually love myself, and now that I'm actually going to step into who I truly am and the potential that I have to become, I'm just going to keep doing me. And now all of a sudden I'm like, cool, you think I'm a dumb bimbo and have nothing to say? Perfect. I'm going to just like, I'm going to stay on my path. And when I hit you from behind, you're never going to see me coming, kind of thing.
And in a a way, it's always great because I'm like, great, I have nothing to live up to. So all I have is to go up from here.
Right.
Exactly.
So surprise, motherfucker.
But here's the funny part about that. With the haters, we'll call them, right? Or whatever it is. They're missing out on an opportunity to figure out who you guys really are, who we are, as anybody, really. Because it's like you're saying, if someone does that to you, oh, it's their loss. They just missed out on this amazing woman who has something to say, you know, and that's what they're missing out on. So it's all of a sudden like you're just stifling yourself and just now you're this. And by the way, they're just miserable people half time anyways, and they have their own shit going on.
Exactly. The way I see it is like they're on their own life path right now. And in this moment, I'm on my own life path and I'm going to stay aligned to what I would like I don't know what you want to call like the standards of like what I would like my life to be.
Right.
I'm going to stay on this path. I respect you and your journey, and clearly you're working through some shit and you're projecting onto me, but I'm not going to allow that to faze me because
Right.
I do not have time for that.
Yeah.
But I love you and I respect you, and I'm sorry you're in that place that I was in that place years ago.
Right.
And look, hey, I'm happy now. So there's potential, you know? So even though I might trigger you, like, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's really, I feel like it's not our problem.
It's
like,
not.
and I can't fix you. I can't be responsible for your happiness. So I always feel like if you can't meet me at my level or higher, not everyone deserves access. So if you can't meet me at my standard, then
Right.
And it's okay. It's okay,
Absolutely.
but I just can't lower my standard to meet you. So you either come up here or hopefully be there, and then I can grow.
And the way, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
The way, and it basically by moments like that, it like the universe again is just sort of like fine tuning you in your life. If you choose not to allow that to affect you, you're staying in alignment with what you want for your life to become. Therefore, you're creating space for people that are meant to be in your life to come your way.
Right.
And then it just like your life becomes more and more beautiful.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So how do you girls channel it then for yourselves? I know how I channel mine. Like, it's funny you're talking about, not to say if it's a hate or whatever, but if someone poses a question on, wow, like, you're much different than what we thought. I sit there and I ponder with it. Well, let's talk about that. Like, what was your perception? Why did you think that? And I like digging in with them. And then all of a sudden it's just like, because it's fun. It's fun for me just to kind of dig into that whole situation.
It
But
always
I want to
stems from a place of that's their issue. It's never
right,
really
and
ours.
I get that, and it is, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But it is their issue because sometimes it's like we all come across something that affects us. That now that next person might, I was already in that situation. I might not want to get in that situation again, or I've seen someone like this person, and I don't want to get in that again. If it was a negative experience, one of the best things that I ever loved is I remember back in my modeling days, I was at like a bar with my girlfriend, and she went to the bathroom, and it was like I remember it was like probably like really early too, because it was still kind of light out, so it was summertime for sure. That's what I remember. But anyways, this girl comes up to me and she goes, "Excuse me," she goes, "My friend wants to meet you." And I go, "Yeah, sure." So I walked over with her, just because I could tell it was super innocent. I walked over and she goes, "This is my friend." And this girl was just like, oh my God. Like then I went, "Hi, how are you?" And I started talking to them, and I go, and so we talked for a little bit, and she goes, I go, "Do you want to come out and dance?" Or what? She goes, "Oh my God, yeah, sure." And then my girlfriend, I go, "This is my girlfriend." She goes, "Oh my God, you're with someone." I go, "No, it's okay." Like, she goes, "Oh my God, but it's just the way that she was so happy that I just changed her whole perspective on, look, people are just people. I'm happy that you came up and actually asked, and I'm willing to entertain and be and talk to you because you are curious and you actually came up to me and wanted to know. So I'll entertain that all day in the most gracious, nicest way. I've had gay guys do it to me once before, going, "Oh my God, my boyfriend thinks you're hot." And I'll go over there and start talking. And they're like, "Well, my girlfriend's like, wait a minute, you're straight?" I'm like, "Straight as they can be." I'm like, "Oh my God." And they freak out, but they go, "You're just the nicest guy." Because I'm like, look, if you're interested, I'm interested. If it's done the correct way. But if you're just being an asshole or a bitch or something, I can't deal.
No,
that's the other
absolutely.
half of that. So,
Yeah.
and those I can weed out pretty easily. It's like, I can talk to a person in 2 seconds and be like, yeah, I'll just walk away.
Yeah,
And for me to walk away from someone, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So
I think
huge
you're
deal.
better in that aspect than me. Usually
Well, I
just
give my
don't
time.
entertain it.
I give my time because it's like if you're willing to, like, if someone's willing to come up to you and be like, "Hi, my name's such and such, I just wanted to say hi and just, whatever." But you can feel that energy, that it's not malicious. It's not like they're after you. They're not trying to hit on. It's just, they're just being authentic.
Yeah.
I will entertain that all day long. You know, because I appreciate the look at you. You're great.
I can't because our time is invaluable.
And I get that. But look, but once again, the reason why I'm talking about this and the reason what I was getting at is that when you are at that point and you feel like you're talking about the universe, what are you doing now to project that off to others now? That's what I'm getting at. Because if all of a sudden someone taking the time out to appreciate you in the nicest, most innocent, most loving way, how do you turn that now and project it onto the world now? That's what I'm getting at.
We give back. So it's the little things, like she said, when someone opened the door for her, it changed her perspective in her day. And now she's kind of taken that on, and it's the little things that other people appreciate. So now she's opening the door.
But are you willing to take those little things into now with a littler, let's be honest, a littler person who took the chance to say hello, are you willing to take that time and spend a little bit of time with them?
Absolutely, 100%.
And that's what I was getting at.
I just don't give my time or energy to anyone that's like negative or doesn't have anything nice to say. I just can't feed into that.
That I get. I understand that 100%.
On our socials, I'm not going to respond to it. Like I just don't have time.
And I got that. I didn't mean to say entertain. No one should ever entertain
block.
that. Yeah, because then that's just suffering. I'm like, why am I going to sit there and suffer? I don't want to suffer.
I mean, I guess that's a lie, because sometimes I do, if I'm in that mood, like I want to dig deep and my heart kind of hurts for them, because I'm like, wow, why are you in that space? So I do get like that occasionally, but I would say 80% of the time I can't entertain it.
Right.
Because I'm in such a different
Like one of the best things
space.
and it's a joke to me now when someone goes, wow, you don't sound black. Because I do get that a lot. And I go, well, what is sounding black? What does that mean? And they'll be pensive and go, huh. And all of a sudden they'll go, well, that's a really good question. And I go, well, let's talk. Why do you think that? And they go, and all of a sudden I just change their perception on what does sounding a certain way mean about a person.
Well,
that means
I think
nothing.
people think that about women that are attractive or like have nice bodies.
And I get
we're
that.
Automatically going to be a bitch. And
and I
we're not
understand
nice.
that. Right, right.
Which is, to me, it's kind of a form of ignorance.
Right. 90% of the time, if I feel a person's a bitch, they're going to be a bitch. I've already told you story about Jamie telling me to go back and you go talk to those girls. I was like, I was right. They all were bitches, except for the one that I thought was not one. But at the same time, though, like I'm willing to always like entertain anything as long as I can see a good light. That's all I'm getting at. So, I mean, that's why going back to the listener saying that DM, he's like, how do you handle this when you talk to others? I go, because they're just people.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at them anything differently. Yeah. That's where the minutia and all the stereotypes should just be out of the picture in general. You're just talking to another person. And if that person doesn't want to talk, then, oh, well, I'm sorry for you.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you're trying to, like, break down any kind of stereotypes or people stereotyping, right, I try to lean into the whole aspect of, if you want something to happen, you have to embody it first.
Right.
So it's very much like, sometimes if somebody will say something, hey, I thought like you look like such a bitch or something like that, where I didn't expect you
like
to
she
be nice.
wasn't even given the opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
right.
so the thing that I do though is like I don't allow it to offend me ever, because I get it so frequently.
Right.
And it's almost like I get happy because I'm like, if I can still got it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Number one. Number two, it's good because it still helps me on my, let's call it a little mission, right? My little life path journey, right?
Yeah.
Where I believe that everybody here, every moment that we experience is there for a reason. You just have to find the reason behind it. So for example, for me, I'm like, okay, cool. I look like the people that used to bully me. And so, they ruined my life for a long time, for sure. And now that I've somehow managed to end up looking like the people that bullied me, I was like, look how funny. The tables have turned.
Right.
And now, I'm sure that other girls have experienced, or guys, whoever, may have experienced that same thing. So when they meet me, I don't blame them.
Right.
The whole thing is like, of course, I might look like a bitch, Sure. Please come up and tell me that so we can have a conversation. Let me change your mind or exactly your perception, at least bring you to neutrality. So next time, it's these little things, you're planting seeds. So in that interaction, what happens is, they come to a place of neutrality where they're like, oh yeah, next time I see somebody that looks like a bitch, maybe
it changes their way
instead of automatically going into that,
See, and I could see you doing that just from talking with you.
I haven't been so lucky in those instances. So I love that when at least someone's open to having a conversation. But I've literally had people be mean to my face. They've been mean to me on social media, and then they meet me in person and they're fucking mean to my face. And one girl was like, I don't like you because you do the splits when you shoot.
Well, do you know what's hilarious?
That's why she doesn't like
do
me.
the splits. Because she can't do the
And I want to
splits.
be like, well, I mean, what do you say with that? And then I ran across another guy. So it's always interesting when guys are like not nice to me. And he goes, and I'm like, he said, you know what? I really thought you'd be a better shooter than you are. And I'm like,
because he can't shoot.
okay, like I don't know what to do with this, but internally I'm like, God, and I got to spend another 2 days with this guy. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, it literally made me feel shitty.
Yeah. See, but that's the shitty part. They've made you feel shitty off of a comment.
I allowed it.
Yes, that's
I allowed
right,
it to make me feel
because it shouldn't
shitty.
make you feel shitty. You'd be like, sorry, it's just it is what it is.
In that moment, you just, you stand in the divine goddess energy that, you embody and who you are. And you're just like, okay.
Yeah. And mind you, it's not easy because we all get our feelings hurt. And I understand that because like I said, it's not easy when you're in it. You're like, and it does make you feel like shit. But then it's like,
I wish I could, the way that I used to be, man, I love clapbacks. I love to if somebody came at me aggressively, I was like, oh, you want to play. You're gonna leave here crying.
Guys, sometimes I'm in that.
put you in your place.
Yeah, I can be in that space, but there are times too where like maybe our vibration's not as high in that moment or day. And you're just like, oh man, come on. And then, we have like times too where we're like, riding the wave high. So it's just like navigating.
And that's a good point. Yeah, it's a valid point.
And so again, the way that I try to like navigate through life, exactly in those moments where you aren't having the best day and you're like, really? Like I needed to fucking deal with this right now?
Yeah.
Like really? I'm already having a shitty day.
Yeah.
My whole thing is I try to take every single situation, because here's the thing. We live in, a world where polarity exists, right? There's a positive and a negative. There's a good and a bad in everything. Why? Let's
light
take
and a dark.
Literally. There always has to be balance, but hey, instead of having a light and a dark at two extreme like poles, let's bring it a little bit closer to neutrality. From neutrality, we can switch from a reactive state, which is generally, negative because it's fight or flight primal, to more of a responsive, which then we integrate all these like lessons and all these, what do we really want to embody? How do we want to respond to this? Okay, this used to be a trigger. Why are we presented this again? It's because we need to, in those moments of the universe, we're like, okay, cool. So you thought you worked on this trigger, right? So you're good. Cool. You're having a good day. Let's give you an obstacle. Flying colors. Killed it. Yep. Cool. Here, let's try this again. Let's see how truly you integrated this into who you are now, right? Are you truly embodying it? On a bad day, here's the exact same situation. How are you going to navigate it? How are you going to control that for yourself to truly live and embody what you preach or what you would like to live, right?
In the greater good.
And that's the thing. So in those moments, yes, I will likely go cry like a little bitch.
Right.
I will have my moment. I will probably go punch a wall, whatever I need to do. However, I will bring it back, right? And be like, okay, cool. So now that we're grounded, did what I need to do, right? Now that we're grounded, how do I navigate this, right? I'm having a shitty day. Thank you. Instead of being like, oh, fuck this. Like this is
you're
shitty.
recognizing it and you're doing something about it.
You approach it with love for yourself, for the situation, for the other person involved, right? You're like, okay, I respect whatever it is you're dealing with. That has nothing to do with me. You have to like mantra, repeat that to yourself, remind yourself that. And then you sort of go back to yourself and you're like, okay, well, how do I want to feel? Why is this person making you feel that way? If there's any shadow work in that moment that you can work on, great. If not, you're like, okay, well, thank you, universe, for giving me another obstacle, because clearly you saw that I was in a position where I can handle it. The universe never hands you something that you can't handle.
Yes.
And I have to remind myself that constantly.
Right.
And so even if you are having a bad day, it's because at the end of the day, the more darkness that you experience, like we said, there has to be balance. So the more light that you are working towards. And all you have to do is have the action steps and the faith behind it. Right? So on that bad day, fuck it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Literally.
And just being in a place of acceptance. Like, it's okay. Like, not everyone's going to like me, and that's okay. Not everyone has to like
Sometimes
me,
you
so
should
just
be,
accepting.
You should be thanking those people, actually, on those days. You know what I mean?
It just, I'm telling
Thank
you
you.
guys, it's like riding a wave. Like, we have our highs and we have our lows, and some days, like, I can crush it, and then other days, I'm I'm not.
You
and
guys-
and it's okay.
And it allows you room to grow as well,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Exactly.
If you know what's going on, and it's a good example. So my ex-wife the other day, literally the other day, she goes, I walked in her house and all of a sudden I felt like this energy and I got really edgy for some reason, right? But I knew I was feeling edgy. And so I started snapping just like this really dickish kind of thing. Oh my God. And she goes.
Like the salmon?
Like, oh no, it's worse than that. She looks at me and when she gets to that point, she goes, you're being a dick right now. And I looked at her and I go, yeah, I know. Like that, because I knew I was. So I owned up to it though, at least.
Yeah.
Right? I go, yeah, I know. And I could feel me inside going, why am I being this way? Why am I acting like, but
Why were
you know
you
what?
being like
Because
that?
I don't know. It was an edgy energy that I felt. And so I left there and I
Reactive.
processed it.
Yeah.
And I had she texted me like, you're being this. And I go, you know what? I'm really, really sorry. I go, for some reason I was feeling really edgy and the energy was off. Maybe it's because the girls are whining. I don't know what it is, blah, blah, blah. But at least I knew what was going on
Yeah.
and I didn't deny it. I accepted it. I wasn't running away from it. And so the
for
next
you.
day I went in, I gave her the biggest hug and I said, I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on yesterday. I just felt this energy in the house and I had to process it. So that's, at least I took ownership of
And
it.
hey, we're all human, right? We all have our own shit that we're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody has the right to have a reactive moment, but then it's completely in your, you have to choose to then pull that shit back
Yeah.
in.
Reel it
address
back
it.
in.
Right.
Yeah. And then address it. And then it's up to you to go and apologize to whoever, let's say,
Yeah.
or make good with whoever you might have affected by it, right?
Which I
And that's
did.
and
Yeah.
that's the thing,
Right.
right? And that shows growth, that shows maturity, that shows,
She said, I'm growing.
You are growing.
yeah, and bringing it back to the very first question, in this podcast with like my relationship and how we made it work, it's literally moments like that. Zach's very open to like if I'm like, yo, like I even sometimes he doesn't even mean to be like rude, or let's say to me he thinks I'm ignorant where I'm just aloof sometimes. I just like I don't pay attention to certain things
Yeah.
or whatever, and he gets mad about that. And hey, yo, let's level for a second. Love you. I'm sorry. That was not my intention at all. Let's, you take a breath. I'll take a breath. And
Yeah.
let's like, let's find ways to like make it work. And
Yeah.
he's very much just like you,
Okay.
he'll be like, okay. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, yo, bro, you're being an asshole.
Right. and I'm glad that you call him on it because I feel like half the time people don't call it out. And that's
Yeah.
why I was saying, like, if someone's like a hater, you say, thank you. Just say thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But
And
it's not even to argue. It's not
Right,
to argue.
right.
It's
Well,
be
I
like,
can't even argue that.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
even argue that? And I'm just like, this girl just doesn't like me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So
you know what
I
would have been
just am
funny
like,
when she
yeah.
goes, I don't like because you do this, but she go, well, let me show you how to do it. She started
and I
demonstrating.
just dropped
Like,
down
you
into
get a
the
tutorial?
splits.
Let me help you. I'll show you
Yeah.
how. Change your whole perception on
So
everything.
it was fine. It
no.
was just one of those moments where you're like, that's okay.
Well, I'll tell you,
All right.
I wish I could do the splits. One of my attempts at doing the splits left me with a torn tendon, and I literally couldn't walk for about a year. So I wish I was here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Okay, what's the longest you guys have ever kind of stayed mad at each other?
I think it like comes and goes in waves, right? Let's say there's an instance that like pisses me off, and I feel like that Scorpio side in me, like I can hold on to a grudge.
Okay.
And then I sort of like fester on it because it like triggers certain things and makes me question things, and it might not even be that serious. So I think on my end, okay, define mad.
Okay. Well, how about this? How long do you
Like, do you
linger
go?
on
Will
to
you go
something?
days?
Yeah.
It depends on what it is, but sometimes I can go a couple of days, like let's say 2-3 days, where it's like, let's call it mad in the sense like the energy in the house isn't the best.
Okay.
Right. And we're literally attached at the hip constantly because we do everything together. So I'll be like, yeah, you can go to the gym alone.
Is he trying to rectify any of this while this is going on?
Or does he give you
Generally-
space?
Generally, yes. And he'll actually try to give me space, and then that pisses me off
More. Yeah.
yeah. So, I voice that obviously. So
Okay.
now I'm like, I literally, when we're in a good mood, right? Or like, generally we're in a good place, but like, I'm like, okay, babe. So, let me give you a handbook, right? So we have this note, like, and I do everything on my like notes in my like, on my phone, right? If I have like a thought or something, I'll always write it down. So I'm like, I have an idea. Basically, I'm learning about myself, right? I'm learning my reactive patterns. So within a relationship, you can do as much healing and growth as you would like to independently, right? But then as you step into a relationship that you're actually trying to work on, now you're dealing with somebody else's baggage
Yeah.
and their reactive patterns and their triggers. And now stuff comes up for you. So now all of a sudden you're not only growing and finding ways to get better on your own, you have to do it as a couple as well.
Right.
Right. But how do you do that if somebody can't read your mind? Right. So what I started to do is I'm like, okay, so let's say an experience, right? We get into an argument. I like dive into it. I was like, okay, why am I pissed off? Why is this triggering me? Why am I reacting this way? I write it all down. I'm like, okay, now your response to this pissed me off. So next time we potentially come across a certain situation, instead of, let's say, giving me space, give me space for like half an hour,
Yeah,
right? Let me like take a breath, because I can get a little bit heated too. I'm not going to like lie about that for sure. And instead of giving me space for a full day, I'm like, after 30 minutes, you should come and say exactly these words, and I will respond differently, because then I can't fight. I know myself. I like to play tricks on my mind to learn how to, like, I biohack myself all the time, like mentally. So I'm like, okay, if you say these words, I have nothing else to say. So this will like sort of like
makes her docile.
This is going to be good for me.
I'm like, this will tranquilize
You just
me.
soothe the beast.
So just say this. These are literally scripts.
And
then
does he
it'll-
listen?
Yeah, for sure. And then it'll like navigate, like, let's say if we have an argument, it'll like navigate it into a place where we can actually, it works on me, like it calms me down. He has sort of like, it works.
Right. Right.
So it's like, yeah, and then I'll address, he's much better lately at communicating, like we're both very fiery, right? So like lots of fire.
Okay.
But
love
yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah. So, it's just a matter of like finding ways to talk to each other, and things that like, certain words might trigger me. So I'm like, don't use that word. This is
Yeah.
a better word.
Yeah.
But I don't really leave. I've learned not to leave things for him to figure out, because he probably won't.
Right.
Because he can't read my mind.
And that's okay.
Exactly.
And I love that you're
Yeah.
doing that.
I
Beth.
love
feel
that
like
you have
more
a
people should
list.
that.
I do the
Yeah.
same thing. So
Yeah.
the second I get into a relationship or start entertaining something, I create a list. The things that I love, the things that I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. This I need to have a conversation on.
Yes.
Okay.
And you never leave things like untalked about kind
Yeah.
of thing. And like you also have to be, like read the room. Everybody's going through their shit. So I'm like, hey, I have a topic that I want to talk about. And like, I only want, and let's say things get hostile, right? Or like he gets defensive or I get defensive. You have to bring it back to the whole thing. Be like, hey, the reason why we're having this conversation is not because I'm attacking you. It's because I'm trying to make it work. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So these things are hurting my heart or hurting my mind or something. So I'm like, yo, let's address this. Let's figure this out. And it's not because I'm attacking you. We're just fine tuning how we address these things so we can make it work. So we stay together, and it's very much like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
I like that.
Longest relationship for you?
So like I said, I don't really date. So with him, I'm like, I was with one guy before, like only one like serious relationship. And so, that was like 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, so you're
She's
on the
at her
2
mark.
year.
Yeah, I'm on
You're
the
at your
2
mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And you're renewing the lease with this one.
Apparently so.
With this one, yes.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
I like
don't really he is definitely like a really great match for me. I feel like I have a large personality, and I'm very like,
And he can meet you there.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he can meet me there.
He does have a calming personality about
He
him, I
does,
realize.
and it's funny because he's generally the opposite of calm. When I first met him, he was batshit.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh.
It's funny on how people do that to each
I
other.
feel like,
Yeah.
the longer time that you spend with someone, sometimes you exchange roles.
That's right.
So you could be the fiery one and he is mellow,
Yeah.
and then next year it's like the opposite.
For
so
sure.
yeah.
and it's just a matter of balancing each other out. And that's what it is. Like on certain days, I'm on one, I'm like,
So
just let
fun,
me
though.
be. And then, and he's like, yeah, you just like, you be you. And I'm like, okay. And then other days, he's on one. I'm like, let's fucking go. Let's go party. What do you want to do?
Right.
You know?
In the past 2 years, have you ever got to a point where you're like, I don't know if I want to do this with him anymore?
For sure. Yeah. There's definitely been ebbs and flows. Just like every relationship, I'm assuming. But it's just a matter, again, I don't know if he'll be happy me talking about this, but basically he had, out of nowhere, he had a heart attack.
Okay.
And he literally, he'll argue. He's like, I just went to sleep and I woke up and I was fine. I was like, motherfucker, you died in my arms. I had to resuscitate the shit out of you. And your eyes literally, you were completely incoherent. His eyes shot open, rolled to the back of his head. He was like suffocating.
Okay.
As like,
You
it was
gave him mouth to mouth?
They told, so I had I
Concussions.
called it, we got the other person that was there. I asked him to call the paramedic as I was like pulling him off the couch
scary.
kind of thing. And then he instructed me that in this case to do chest compressions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was doing chest compressions on him and like basically waiting for the ambulance to come and everything. But what that did to me was it very much gave me a timeline, like a very, very tangible and like real like possibility of like having a life without him. I literally thought he was going to die in my arms. And like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, you can't leave me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want this life without you. Like, what the fuck? You know? And so for me, at least, like that's sort of like the anchor that keeps me, you know, in those moments. Let's say we do have an argument. We've had maybe like 2, 3 like pretty significant arguments. But then in those moments, the way that you navigate through it, how it's sort of like fixed, you know, is again, he chose me every single time, you know, and all these things like, you know, you could always do better, but he's still, and we're not fucking perfect. And
Yeah.
and he had a crazy fucking past, like crazy past, and me too. So you can't expect somebody to get into a relationship and be fucking like perfect.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody relapses, but it's to the extent of like a relapse, or it's the extent of like the disrespect, or it's the extent of something that hurts you, right?
And do you want to try?
Exactly. And so in those moments, he didn't cross any of my boundaries. He never cheated. He never did any of those things. So it wasn't something that would like make me walk away or force me to walk away.
It wasn't like a deal breaker or anything
Exactly.
crazy. Right.
It was like, if it continued, sure. But like at the same time, it was things that I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I'm sort of overreacting too, but that means it gives me the space sort of to heal my wounds, and then for him to understand where my standards are at, and then for him to show me that he's choosing me. So it always ended up actually strengthening our relationship at the end of the day.
When you say choose you, do you think that comes from a place of abandonment?
I
Like
wouldn't
a
say,
unhealed, not that you have an unhealed trauma,
Yeah.
but a trauma of feeling abandoned.
For sure. So like I wouldn't necessarily call it abandonment. Let's say like going back to my family. My family's amazing. Like they're like they dealt
Yeah.
with my shit forever, and they're like literally saints. If I had a kid that was like me, I'm like, miss me with that, please. But it's not them. I would say that it was my past relationship that genuinely like messed me up,
Okay.
and he made me feel very insignificant. And yeah. Very, it was very much like he definitely made it known that he was not choosing me in any sense of the way.
It's funny how
Yeah.
words create a feeling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I hear abandonment, it doesn't resonate with me. But when you say loyalty, it does. But they kind of run in the same,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can't, like it doesn't resonate with me. But when you say like, are they loyal to you? Then it resonates with like my heart.
It has like different meanings.
So
for
for
sure.
you, it's choosing
it's like choosing me
every day.
Yeah, every day, making me feel
And the good and
seen.
the bad.
Yeah,
and-
because like I said, like this might sound superficial to some, but like I have options and I'm choosing, and my life has been very adventurous,
Yeah.
very fun. I would like, you know, I would travel all the time. I didn't have to explain myself to anyone. I'm very impulsive as a person generally. I'm a fucking Sagittarius, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, and so I had a great life, and I have the possibility of consistently, if we broke up tomorrow, I will literally have my phone fully blowing up. Hey, all these fun things that you can do. Would you
And
like to
you'll
do it?
just
I
go
still
right
do.
back on.
But at the same time, I'm like, okay, cool. I know what that generally entails. Do I choose that? Or do I choose my relationship that I'm building because this is genuinely from like a heart center what I want, you know, and like, and that's the thing, you know, we've actually recently had that conversation. It was very much, you know, I'm like, I don't want, like, I have all these opportunities. I'm choosing you because I would like to choose you, and I want us to work because I see a future with you specifically.
Right.
Right.
Does he ever get insecure because you're so hot?
He makes it known that he's just as hot. So
Yeah. See, that's why I like him. This is why I like him for that answer right there.
so-
Yeah.
So, you know, so anytime I try to, like, at the beginning, I was like, well, I have options, all this kind of stuff. Like, you better act right. He's like, have you seen me? I was like, yeah. So,
Right.
yeah.
He's
I
like,
know-
baby, I got options
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
he does. So that's why I'm like, that argument in our relationship is no longer valid.
Yeah, you can't use that
Okay.
one. And then it's just like all the other ones I could use. This one,
Yeah.
damn, I can't use that.
Yeah.
You know?
So I have to get real creative with them. But
Okay.
but yeah, no. So overall, I would say that even like in our darker moments, or in the moments that like have caused us like emotional, let's say, turmoil for a second, it has always created like a stronger bond, and definitely allowed us to like understand each other better.
Good.
You know, so
Which that sort of situation always should, because it's like you come across these moments. How do you handle them? That's the main point, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but if you can't handle it, then quite frankly, if one of you can't handle it, it's over because the next one's going to happen. It's just going to build. And now you start knowing this person's rapport on how they handle that situation, and it's never going to change.
Like
so,
a pattern.
Exactly.
Identifying the patterns.
definitely.
Right.
And also too, like, you know, I want to become a better person consistently. I have changed so much as a person, like authentically, like I really have. And, you know, I believe that everybody can change and improve and become a better version of themselves. And I'm not done here. Like I'm 26, like I have years to go, you know,
So
like
much,
I'm so excited to become a better and more, you know, evolved
well-rounded person.
Exactly. And so I would like my partner to do the same. So at the base of our relationship, I was like, I remember when we first started, I was like, so like, are you planning on improving that? Are you like you're gonna grow up here a little bit, you know? And he's like, yeah, you know, he just needed someone, I guess, to like inspire him to do the work,
right?
You know?
And I believe in that as well, because that's what my ex was for me at the time when I was, I think, in my late 20s. It was that thing where she's like, you know, what's your life plan or 5-year plan? I was like, I don't know, I'm just having a good time. She was upset about that, but she molded me, I feel like, to who I am today to make me better for my girlfriend now, 5 years
Jamie.
now, right?
Yeah.
Because when Jamie and I started dating, we dated my girlfriend now almost 5 years. I broke up with her to start dating my then ex-wife, who we were together for 17 years. And we just basically came back around. But the thing was, I would never have been ready to come back into this with her if it wasn't for my ex.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So like you're saying with Zach and stuff like that, it's like every relationship, you do learn from that. You do grow if you're open to doing that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you said, with your time in your life, your phone can be blowing up all day long, but you choose. You know, that can be there all the time. You know, you can filter
like,
that in with his life.
We have each other's passwords too. Like, it's not even a thing. Like, you know, like we'll be in the car. He's like, babe, can you read my text messages for me? Like, it's very open like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
And same with me. Like, he knows, I'm like, yeah, go through all my stuff. Go through all my DMs. I literally do not care.
Right.
Because I have nothing to hide. Right. And if people hit me up, I'm like, cool, you can hit me up. That has nothing to do on me. You know, it's wether I choose to respond or not.
Yeah.
Right?
It's always like us.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
You hear that, people? There's no need to hide shit out there from your other.
I agree.
From your
Yeah.
significant other.
And there's no point, like, and that's the thing, like, honestly, your life is probably going to be much more exciting single if you would want to live that life.
Right.
In the sense of like, okay, if you want to be in a relationship, go balls to the wall. Let's fucking go. And like authentically do everything that you need to do. Because what's the point of half-assing anything? To me, that just shows like, and honestly, like, I don't want to disrespect anyone and like whoever's listening and stuff. But like, the thing is, if you're half-assing something, that does not look good to your character.
No.
You know, and that's the way that I see it. I'm very much like a extremist, you know, and I look at the little things, because then to me that shows me what kind of a person you are. Can I trust you?
Right.
You know, even as a friend, if
Are you all in?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm very big on loyalty. I'm very big on commitment and like even an integrity, right? So you can be the most crazy motherfucker, just own up to it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't lie about
Let
it.
us know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and I will absolutely respect that.
And
but
own
don't-
your shit.
Exactly, but don't do that and try to come and like, you know, pretend that you're like all this like, oh, so sweet because you want something, so you're being manipulative. I don't respect
Right.
that.
Yeah, I don't like that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So it's very much like that's the thing.
Okay, I
Yeah.
like that you said that, because, like I said, my theory is like what you see is what you get. You know, I have nothing
totally.
like I'm an open book. What you want
I'm
to learn,
an
what you
open
know.
book,
Yeah,
yes.
you are like that as well. And I like the fact that you had said something about how it's a challenging thing that you're presenting to your partner at the time, but it's almost like that thing where they can either accept it or not.
Yes.
But also, you know,
But
we
you got to
all-
give them the choice.
Well,
You
and that's the
can't-
thing.
you
Yes,
can't
right. And
fucking
sometimes we're
hide.
all not ready for that. Like you said, it's a growing period. Like, you know, hopefully you guys are at that point right now, and it seems like you are, where it's you're matched up at a right time.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it right
absolutely.
there. So,
Yes. Yeah, we both, if we met, we always talk about this. If we met even like a month prior to like when we met,
Yeah.
like it would not have worked. If I met him a year ago, hell to the no.
she's like, in the spirit of Christmas, that's why it worked out so well.
I was feeling real festive. But yeah, you know, so it's been an adventure for sure.
That's great.
Babies
really good.
for you guys?
He definitely has baby fever.
She's like, the business is the baby right now.
Yeah, I actually just caught word like 3 days ago, which is why when you saw me, I was super exhausted and just like emotionally like, oh my God, my puppy who's only a year old has been knocked up by my other dog. So I'm having babies.
Wow, there you go.
Animal babies.
Oh, she's going to be a grandma.
So I'm like, oh my God, as we're launching all these businesses and flying around every 2 weeks to a different country, I'm like, okay, so now I have to birth babies
Yeah.
and take care of puppies. So this is going to be fun.
Use that as your template. And if you can handle that, you can handle everything else.
Listen,
so.
everything happens for a reason. So I'm just out here pulling my hair for a couple of days, but now I'm fine. I'll be fine. Bounce back real quick.
That's great.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to ask Nikki right now?
Oh my God, I could talk to her forever.
Or should we go into the question just and see where this
Okay.
spins around for?
Yeah,
All right, we have the
let's
question
see.
today for you, okay? All right, I'm going to choose one here. Let's see. Oh, this is an easy one. Let's see. Okay, I'll do this one. My fiance and I are living together for the first time and had our first disagreement. I'd love your feedback. He wants to put a TV in the bedroom so he can have it on as he falls asleep. Yet I'm against TVs in the bedroom and need it to be completely dark to fall asleep. What do we do?
That's funny. We actually have the same disagreement.
And it's such a small disagreement.
Yeah,
It's big.
It is
It's
big to
funny
some.
how things change for us, though. Let's like my personal experience is like because I was in the whole health kind of coaching and stuff. It's very bad, genuinely. Like it's really bad for you to have a TV or electronics on in the room.
Mm-hmm.
The frequencies that they emit do not allow you to get into a deep state of sleep, right? So if you generally are like a very like you need that sleep, otherwise you can't function. Like it depends on it depends on what you're willing to give up. So if my personal opinion is like if you have the ability to like have 2 bedrooms, I would highly suggest that. We use that strategy a lot too, whether we just need space from one another, which
Right.
is completely okay in my opinion. It's not like a determinant of a bad relationship. But here's the thing, sometimes now like the tables have turned, I actually need the TV to fall asleep sometimes, even though
Okay.
it's really bad for me, but like sometimes I do, right? So it's like things like, I don't know, tell him to go sit on the couch, sleep on the couch if he needs to, or like what I actually started doing so I don't disturb him that much is on my side of the bed I'll put like a what are they called, the things that you take pictures with, the little stand that you put your phone on.
A ring light?
A tripod, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Who said that?
Yeah, so I put
We
a
have an
tripod
audience in here.
Yeah, I put a tripod on, and then I'll just put my phone in the
Okay.
tripod, and then very like I try not to wear headphones or especially Bluetooth ones because they're also not good for you. But let's say if you get a wire headphone, or if you just like can like keep it really really down, like so it's like not that loud, but he can watch his thing on his side of the bed, and it's still going to be dark on your side of the bed, and like ta-da.
There it is. Right. Yeah. I know your point of view
Because like
on this.
putting
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I say no electronics in the room at all, and you should unplug everything, and then if you can, turn off your Wi-Fi at night. It's just you're not going to get into that REM sleep,
Right.
and our sleep is like one of the most important things.
okay. Well, you
So
know,
I say put his ass on the couch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 110%. I'm really trying to personally get out of, this like weird habit that I've developed. I don't know why I need like something to fall asleep recently. I don't know.
It's just a phase.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I like. And that's another thing I think we briefly touched on, not to feel bad about myself. So I don't, I'm like, I'm accepting all the phases that I come with.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and especially starting a new business. Let's be quite frank. Like you're 24/7 on just getting.
There we go. That's why.
Right.
Right.
And it's true. Right now, at
Maybe
the beginning
that's
of a
your way
business.
to like to wind down.
Yeah, that's sort of, I think I actually, there we go, guys. I've healed. I understand why.
Yay, we
like,
solved
it's just,
our- yeah.
I think, yeah, for sure. It's like my mind's constantly running on like, all cylinders. So I think I associate, TV and sitting on a couch and stuff with
You're
like
tuning out.
downtime and relaxing, end of day, watch like an episode of whatever I'm watching, and like I knock out.
Right.
So I think that's potentially what it is. For sure.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, there it is. So my take on this is like, I don't really give a shit. I mean, if you want a TV, you don't want a TV. And I'm just saying because we have a TV in
Yeah.
our room, but also like, my girlfriend, doctor, busy as hell, she's on like up 42 hours sometimes, right? So she comes home, she can't sleep. I'm in bed. And my only thing is just make sure you keep the volume down. You can watch TV. I can turn over,
won't
do
wake
whatever.
you up?
I mean, as long as it's low,
Yeah.
and like I can turn over, but I don't want to like blasting in my ear and
What
being
about the
disrespectful.
light?
The light doesn't bother me as well. I mean,
You'll still
she's a
stay
drama
asleep?
watch. She likes drama. It's not like she's
Yeah.
watching action films or anything like that. So it's, she likes crime dramas. So they're always really dark.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know,
and
they're
I
just-
also
they're always
like
really
to-
dark and seedy.
Yeah. I generally have like a pillow fort around me.
Okay.
So
Yeah. And that
So do
helps
I.
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
I'm
like
like,
a safety thing.
yeah, it's weird. I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like a kangaroo in its pouch or something. Like it's like great.
Yeah.
So I'll like
I build a fort around me.
yeah, I build
So I
a
can
fort.
like stay
You
in
guys
one.
are so
my bed
funny.
is so big, but I literally one side stays maid, and I'm just like right here.
Right.
Yeah, that's like us. He'll be on one side or in the other bedroom, if whatever.
Okay.
And so I'll just be like, I'll create my pillow fort. I'm good. I have my puppies with me. I'm happy. And like sometimes what I actually found really did help me, I like made a pillow fort where like my head would go, so it'd be like super dark.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but I don't actually like to sleep with the blinds closed. I feel like claustrophobic, so I like to
You keep
see
them
the
open
stars.
then.
Yeah.
So
I
in the
see stars and
mornings.
stuff.
But what about the mornings?
It wakes me up.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love waking
Yeah.
up to the light.
Yeah. Me
Yeah.
too,
And
especially in Costa Rica. It's like literally a 12-hour day, so it sinks by like 8:30. Him and I were like in bed, knocked out. Not
Yeah.
even by choice. Like our body is shut down with the sunset.
Right.
So it's like,
Do
Wow.
you get jet lag?
sometimes it's
I
funny.
kind of don't.
Yeah, you were good. I have to admit, you're actually good.
But it's funny because it's like it's either 1 hour or 2 hours depending on like the daytime savings
Okay.
or whatever it's called. So the 3 hours when I go to Toronto from California, that messes with me.
Okay.
3 hours.
See, I've learned to kind of trick myself with that. Like
I trick myself.
Yeah, I never change my clock. I mean, like I'll keep it on the same time, even though obviously with phones now they switch automatically. But
Yeah.
back in the day, like with watch stuff, I never change it to the time zone I'm in because it's for the first few days because it keeps me on my time versus me tricking myself saying, oh my God, it's 3 hours later and I got
I don't do that. I go off the light.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go off wherever I'm at. It's the light.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like your circadian rhythm just
Yeah.
like goes back into flow. Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. Or I'll just stay up and party. I don't know. if I can get
Yeah,
it.
you pull all-nighters.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
how
I
you
do.
that.
I'll stay up to the next day. I'm good with that. All right, Nikki, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys
But
so
we're
much.
excited about your
Yes.
company, Sunslut, and hoping to get some collaborations with you. But is there anything you want to plug before we leave here?
I mean, yeah, just my socials are generally Miss Nicusia, so MISS, and I see USIA.
Okay.
And then Sunslut Co., which is our Instagram, our TikTok, which I'm learning how to use. I'm not that great at it.
Me neither.
Help.
If anyone is,
Yeah,
can help
anybody
her
wants
out.
I have
to
someone for
intern
that.
and then,
Yeah.
you know, just work with
Yeah,
me.
I have
I'm
someone for
definitely
that.
actually looking for people
Okay.
like editors and stuff like that and social
Okay.
media people. So, yeah, I guess that's the plug.
Perfect.
I love it.
And guys, check out Sunslut. Go to the website. It's really well done, by the way. And
Thank
and
you.
the little ads you guys do for them on your social media for Sunslut, by the way. They're all incredible stuff. I mean, you're in a couple, but all like just the scenes and things
should
you
be
do.
in them all.
Yeah.
See,
My
I
lot
wanted
is
to like
staring
not
at you.
do that 'cause I don't want to be like, you know, I wanted to like, I don't want to like pigeonhole anything.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, and I also want to build like sort of like a little community of Sunsluts.
Right.
So
I like-
I'm like,
yep.
you know, so people that actually understand like our goal and our mission, genuinely enjoy the product. Like I want to showcase them.
Yeah.
You know,
You're doing
And
a good job with it.
Thank you. And I have a lot of
Yeah.
wonderful friends within like the whole creator and influencer community as well, which I'm like, yo, like I will
tapping
absolutely
into.
Yes. I'm like, I absolutely would love to, you know, have you guys be a part of it. And just everybody's been incredible about supporting me personally and the
Right.
company. So it's been great.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. And what do you have today, Dia?
Oh, big shout out to Body Armor. Thanks
Body
for
Armor.
keeping us hydrated over here.
All right. And I just
about
want to
you?
say a shout out, just follow us at Anything Dating Intelligence on social media and my personal at Fetch Sport. We will have a lot more episodes and please keep sending in your questions and follow us on YouTube, people, because you got to come look at this episode with Nikki over here. I mean,
Yes.
she's a great guest today and her personality shines. We love guests like you.
does,
So,
it does.
yeah. All right, guys, that's another episode and thanks again. All right. See you soon.
Aw.
Way too high to hear love.